Good morning to everyone. Today we'll start with a transmission line. In earlier lecture, what we have done is we have introduced microwave, what is actually microwave, and the frequency band, its advantage, its disadvantage, and everything related to microwave communication engineering. So the most significant part of a microwave communication is a transmission line. So we'll see what are the kinds of transmission line and what is actually a transmission line. So the outline of my presentation is we'll see different kind of a transmission line, then we'll see uh, a predominant effect called transit time effect, then what is when we have to consider the transit time effect, then what is called distributed and lump parameter, and we'll see the equivalent model of a transmission line. So first thing is, what do you actually mean by transmission line? So transmission line is a media or a structure over which our RF signal will transmit from one point to other point. So it is medium where our signal will carry our signal from one point to other point. So it can be anything. It can be a two conductor system, or it can be a at higher frequency and higher power we are using a waveguide system. So waveguide is also called as a type of a transmission media, and at optical frequency we are having a optical fiber. So this all are called the transmission line. At lower frequency we are using the simple conductor system. So any system which will carry our signal can be of any type. It can be RF signal, it can be optical signal, or anything. So the media which will conduct our signal from one point to other point is called a transmission line. So the transmission line is a structure which can transport electrical energy from one point to other point. So at low frequency, the transmission line consists of a two linear conductor separated by some distance. So the electrical signal is applied at the source end, and there will be load end. Now in RF we are having a four kind of a transmission line. So this is for RF at the low power and low frequency. So first we'll see first one, that is a coaxial cable. So coaxial cable will have a central conductor, and which is surrounded by the this conductor. So it is basically a two conductor system. There will be a central conductor and outer conductor. So outer conductor system will act as a ground. So this line has a good isolation of electrical energy, because the noise or any other signal which will come from outer side. So now there will be a ground, so which will shield the inner conductor from all the sources of noise. So there will be less electromagnetic interference. It can work up to 2 or 3 gigahertz or 4 gigahertz, but as the frequency goes on increasing, the attenuation of the signal which is passing through this conductor or this coaxial cable will be more and more. So we cannot use the coaxial cable for larger distance and at higher frequency, as well as we cannot use this for a high power. We can only use this for a very less power. So next one is called parallel wire transmission line. So as the name suggests, it will have a two conductor. So these are two parallel conductor two parallel conductor which are separated by, it can be either a insulating material or it can be air. So it consists of a two parallel conducting rod. Now energy is distributed, or energy will be carried out by these two conductor. So now whenever there will be current carrying conductor or a conductor, there will be some magnetic field around that. So the electrical and magnetic field extend over the infinite distance through though its strength reduces as the distance from the line increases. So obviously now this will be kind of a open structure, so there will be a higher noise compared to the earlier one, that is a coaxial cable. The next kind of a transmission line is called microstrip transmission line. So microstrip is basically a structure which will have a three layer. You can see here. So this is the uppermost layer. So and this will be the second layer, and this will be the third layer. So The uppermost layer, that is called as a microstrip line or microstrip simply. This will be a conductive structure. The bottommost structure is a ground. This is also a conductor. In between the topmost conductor, that is microstrip line, and bottom one, that is a ground, that is also a conductor. In between these two there is a substrate. So this is our substrate having some epsilon. Let us take that will be epsilon r. So this is called a microstrip structure. We are having a microstrip line at the uppermost, then and the lowermost will act as a ground, that is also a conductor, and in between these two conductors there will be a substrate. So energy will be confined within this structure. So majority of field are confined in the dielectric substrate between the strip and ground plane. So now there will be some fringing field. These are called fringing field. So there will be some fringing field which will partially will be in the substrate and partially will be in the air. So this is called quasi TEM wave. So signal will be quasi TEM wave if we are considering this as a, if this will act as a microstrip antenna. Here there will be very small, this fringing field will be there. So there will be, now once again this will be, if noise will be there, if noise will come, it will have a lower EMI than previous one, that is parallel wire and coaxial kind of a cable. It will have a lower electromagnetic interference. This line is usually found in a printed circuit board at the higher frequency. Now fourth one is called balance line. So there will be actually two kind of system. One is called balance line and second one is called unbalanced line. So the difference between balanced line and unbalanced line is the line which will consist of a two conductor system which is symmetrical about ground is called a balanced line. So the structure, the transmission line, we have seen this out of this four transmission line, the only only balanced structure is this B, that is parallel wire transmission line. All these three structure, there is coaxial cable, microstrip line, and this unbalanced line which is having a one conductor and second one is ground. So these all are asymmetrical about ground, so these are called unbalanced line. In our analysis, we'll see in our couple of next lectures, we will always use a two conductor system. So we'll have a upper conductor and lower conductor, because this all type of a transmission line can be modeled as a two conductor. Let us take the coaxial cable. It will have a central conductor and this, the outer, it is surrounded by this outer conductor. So this will act as a two conductor system. This also can be modeled as a two conductor system. This can also, this is the upper conductor, this will act as a lower conductor. So whatever the kind of a transmission line, we can model that as a two conductor system. So in all our next lectures, we'll study the transmission line like this one. It will be a two conductor system where in the one end we will have a source and at the second end we will have a load, some kind of a load, and we are having a source here. So now next thing is called transit time effect. Now what is actually a transit time effect and when we have to consider this? So we know that, let us take, we are having some transmitter. This is our transmitter. This will transmit some signal and signal will reach here. It will be captured by some antenna and distance between these two is L. So the signal transmitted by this antenna, this signal will not instantaneously reach at this receiver. This is our transmitter, this is transmitter and receiver. So the signal will not instantly reach at the receiver. It will take some definite time, because the signal will not travel with infinite velocity. So it will take some definite time, and that time is called transit time. So the time taken by the signal to reach from one point to other point is called transit time effect. So this is a finite, there will be some finite delay, and that delay is related with transit time effect. So it is the time taken by signal to reach from one location to other location is called a transit time. Now the electromagnetic signal will travel with velocity, that is c, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second, or somewhere they can write as a v or c, everything is same. The velocity is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Now we know that the velocity is given by distance upon time. Now the distance in our case is L, and T is, let us take, this will be transit time. So transit time, we can write this as a ratio of the length and velocity v, that will be 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. So transit time is given by L divided by c, or v. Now when we have to, now in order to understand, let us take a two conductor system as shown in the PPT. So in one end we are connecting our source, that is voltage source or power source. It is a plane AA dash. In AA dash we are connecting our source, and on BB dash, so we are connecting, or we are simply telling that this load end is BB dash. The length of transmission line is L. We are applying sinusoidal signal over this transmission line from the source end. So at some particular instant, let us take at t is equal to t1, there will be at source end, this voltage will be Vp, like this is shown here. P is the voltage or the amplitude at this point. Now it will take some finite time, the signal will take some finite time to reach from A to B. Over this duration, this amplitude will change from Vp to Vq. So let us take, this is 10 volt. So this will be now our minus 5 volt or minus 4 volt. So there will be definitely some what before this we are assuming that this system is lossless, there will be no loss, any kind of losses are not there. So this is an ideal system, it does not have any loss. Now there are no loss, then also there will be change in voltage, there will be voltage difference. If there will be some resistance, there will be definitely some resistance, it means the system is lossy, then there will be some voltage difference. But we have assumed the system which is lossless, then also there will be change in voltage as well as there will be change in phase. This is due to the transit time effect. So if we are considering a low frequency, then we never come across this term that is called transit time, because at low frequency, this is our low frequency, this lambda or this time period t is very large. We have found out lambda for 50 hertz. Lambda for 50 hertz is around 6000 kilometers. So this lambda is very small. So if our board is, let us take 10 centimeter or 20 centimeter, so in this 10 centimeter or 20 centimeter, the amplitude of voltage and the phase will be around same, so nearby that it will be same. But at higher frequency, what will happen, the frequency changing is, the change in frequency is very large, so there will be large change in amplitude and phase at each and every point. So we cannot apply simply directly so this is because of a transit time. So what will happen so we have observed that there will be change in, although that is a ideal conductor, there will be a change or there will be a voltage difference between 2 points. So now the question is when we have to consider the effect of transit time. So ideally at the lower frequency we are not considering the effect of transit time, because the voltage or you can say amplitude and phase will be the constant all over the length of the board or length of the circuitry. But as the frequency goes on increasing, now the transit time will effect will come into account. So there will be some change in voltage difference as well as there will be phase. So we have to consider the effect of transit time. So if the time period of signal, let us take, we have seen earlier, if the time period of signal is larger than the transit time, so if this capital T, that is t is greater than tr, transit time, then don't we can ignore the transit time fact. But if this t is greater than, so if t is greater than tr, so t is very large, it means the wavelength is very large, then we can, so now t is given by 1 upon f, and tr we have seen earlier, it will be length upon velocity, so l by v. Rearranging this will be equal to v by f, so v by f is greater than l. Now v by f, or you can say c by f, is equal to lambda. So if lambda is very much larger than l, then we can ignore or we can neglect the effect of transit time. But if the lambda is very much small or compared to length of a board or length of a circuitry or length of an element, then we must have to take account of a transit time. So transit time effect become important when the length of circuit become comparable to wavelength, as well as the frequency increases, the wavelength reduces, and the transit time effect become more and more important. Now because of transit time, we cannot apply Kirchhoff's law that we have already seen in our first lecture. Let us elaborate more here. Let us take, we are having some circuitry. We have seen in our earlier semester this kind of circuitry. This is the very simple circuitry. Now if we want to find out current and voltage, let us take, this is our RL, this is R1, R2, R3, this is voltage V we are applying. Now if we want to find out the voltage or current across the load resistance, so simply we can apply Kirchhoff's current law and voltage law, and we'll find out the voltage or current whatever we require at the load end. So this is at low frequency, but at high frequency, at each and every point the voltage and current, or you can say there will be phase difference as well as the voltage will change at each and every location. So we cannot apply, because this is not constant, these are not constant, voltage or current, so we cannot apply directly Kirchhoff's current or voltage law. So this is this is the disadvantage. Now we want to solve or we want to find out the characteristic of transmission line. This is our transmission line. We want to analyze the transmission line, but we cannot apply Kirchhoff's voltage or current law. So what will be the solution? Anyhow we want to analyze our circuitry, our transmission line. So the solution lies in Maxwell's equation. So we have to use more fundamental quantity than current and voltage. So the fundamental quantity are electric field and magnetic field, or simply the field quantities are more fundamental quantities than current and voltage. By knowing the field quantity, we can derive any other quantity. We can derive current, voltage, we can derive power or radiated power or anything if we know these two quantities. So we have to solve Maxwell equation, and we have to find out electric field and magnetic field, and from that we can find out anything. So we are using more fundamental quantity. So at higher frequency, you can say microwave frequency or RF frequency, we are always writing in terms of field, that is electric field and magnetic field. So now okay, we will use this quantity, but the problem still is we cannot apply Kirchhoff's current and voltage law. Now what we'll do, this is our transmission line. Now we'll divide the portion of transmission line, so we will divide into 1000 of pieces. This is L, so we'll divide, or this is, let us take, this is X, or this will be along Z. So we'll take a very small portion of a transmission line. So this portion, let us take, this will be the delta X. So we'll take very small portion of a transmission line. We will divide our transmission line into thousands of pieces. Now over this very small delta X, the voltage and current will not change, or it will be, the change is very small. So if voltage and current will not change, there will be no phase difference, we can apply KCL or KVL. So we are assuming that we are taking a very small portion of a transmission line, that is delta x. From this delta x we will now we will model the transmission line. So this small portion, so this will be a 2 conductor. Now whenever there will be current carrying conductor, there will be magnetic field. Current carrying conductor will be there, it means there will be magnetic field. Now whenever there will be magnetic field, as shown here in the figure, whenever there will be current carrying conductor, there will be magnetic field, and whenever there will be magnetic field, there must be some inductance. So because of magnetic field we are having some inductance, delta stack delta L. So this is a very small portion of transmission line delta x, and we are modeling this small portion of a transmission line. So this is delta L because of presence of a magnetic field. Now this is 2 conductor system. So 2 conductors separated by some air or any other media, any other dielectric material. This will act as a capacitance. There will be some capacitance. So if this will be the ideal line, then there will be only inductance and capacitance which will be distributed all over the length. We'll see later. Okay. Now if this is not a ideal system, ideal conductor system, so there will be some losses. There will be heating loss, radiation losses, etc. That will be taken account by R, delta R. Okay. Now there will be also some leakage from one side to one conductor to other conductor, and we'll model this as a delta G, that is the conductance, that is mho per meter. This is our C, delta C. Now this is very small portion of a transmission line. Actually this will be all our transmission line will be consist of this kind of element. So this will be the model of a transmission line, which consists of a inductance, capacitance, then resistance and conductance. Now these are the distributed element. This is not a lumped element. Lumped element are the element which we are using in our circuitries, like we are having a resistance, inductance, capacitance, and so we can measure this R, L, C in our circuitry by multimeter or any other way, but we cannot measure this R, L, C and G in this transmission line, because we are modeling this. We are modeling the small portion of transmission line, and we are modeling because we want to simplify, we want to find out the solution of a transmission line, how electric field or the signal will flow through the transmission line. We want to model, so we are simplifying the small portion of a transmission line. So we have taken delta R, delta L, delta C and delta G. All these are distributed element. These are distributed over length of the transmission line. This is over delta X. So capacitance per length, inductance per length. So resistance, so the unit will be resistance per length, so or you can say it will be ohm per meter. So this will be the resistance of both the conductor together for unit length. So its unit will be resistance per unit meter or resistance per meter. This will be conductance, so this will be Henry per meter. This is the capacitance between two conductors, so this will be farad per meter. These are distributed element. This is delta G, or you can say this is the conductance between two conductor, so this will be mho per meter. So this is the simplest like shown here. This is the simplest or easy, this is the simplest model of a transmission line which consists of delta R, delta L, delta G and delta C, which are distributed along the length of the transmission line. In next lectures we'll solve for current and voltages, by applying Kirchhoff's voltage and current law, we'll find out the current and voltage and we'll find out the relation, and we'll see how the signal will flow through the transmission line and what are the parameters it will depend on. So in this lecture what we have studied is, we have found out, we have characterized the transmission line, we have differentiate the types of transmission line, then we have seen the transit time effect, when it is important, when we have to take account of a transit time effect, then we have seen the distributed circuit element and the equivalent model of a transmission line. For any query you can write to me in this my email, that is balwant.makwana balvantmakwana @gecrajkot.ac.in. Thank you very much.